Hey there you guys, welcome back to Pantry. I'm Alicia and we're back in the kitchen again today with another canning video. This is another part of the collaboration with Cosmopolitan Cornbread called March Canning Madness. I will link her channel below. She has a playlist of everyone that's doing canning projects in the month of March. So you can go through if you want to like binge yourself on some canning videos, you can go through there. Today we are making yellow mustard. A couple months ago, probably the end of January, I made a canning video with making and canning your own Dijon mustard. And that was very well received. You guys really liked that. So I thought you might like to learn how to make and can your own regular yellow mustard. It starts with just yellow mustard powder, which is what I have here. I bought this. This is 1 pound that I bought from Azure Standard. It's organic. It's just regular yellow mustard. And you can get mustard in bulk pretty cheap. I'll try to look up how much I paid for this and put it on the screen for you because it's really not expensive and it's a great way to make a lot of mustard. I forgot though how many of my recipes a pound makes. So I need to measure this out. To make mustard, I've got a non-reactive pot. It's going to be very acidic, and so we want to use a non-reactive pot. I'm going to measure some mustard into here. But in addition to the mustard, we need vinegar, regular white vinegar. You could play with the flavors of vinegar if you want, but it wouldn't be the standard yellow mustard. Make sure you're using at least 5% acidity vinegar if you do swap it out. We're going to use salt. This is garlic powder from my garden that we did. I think I did this in a video where I processed it all. This was freeze-dried and pulverized. I'm going to put in mine a little bit of turmeric and a little bit of paprika. And other than that, we're just using water. So let's see how much. I wrote out my recipe, but I need to see how much mustard powder I have before so that I can write down how much. I think I'm going to do 3 times a triple recipe because each recipe I'm pretty sure makes 1 cup and I want to do more than that. Let me get a measuring cup here. I'm going to use my ½ cup measure because it'll be easier to get it in this bag. There are other good places to get mustard powder. I have seen it fairly inexpensive in little bulk sections of places that have bulk spices like Winco. I don't have a Winco near me. So that was 1 cup, 1½. I have seen it at Amish stores. They often have bulk spices in little tubs, so you could look for it there. That's 2 cups. 3 cups, 2½. 3, let me do some math here. 6. Okay, so I have put in 3 cups. I was using my ½ cup measure, and I'm gonna stick with that. So I'm quadrupling this recipe. So 3 cups of mustard, 4 cups of water, 3 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of turmeric, ½ teaspoon of garlic powder, and ½ teaspoon of paprika, and 2 cups of vinegar. All right, I will do this. I will put, I'm gonna save some of this so that I have dry mustard powder too. I will put somewhere towards the end of the video, I will make like a table with a recipe for one, like a single recipe for the mustard. If you just want to make the mustard, you don't necessarily want to can it. I think if you're going to can it, go the effort to make several jars of it. I will put that recipe in a table for like a single and then a quadruple like I'm making today so that you can pick and choose. And if you just take like a screenshot when it gets to that part of the video, then you'll have the recipe for yourself. So I'm going to keep the rest of this for mustard. I've got 3 cups of mustard powder in here. I'm going to put all of my other ingredients except for the vinegar in this pot. So I need 4 cups of water. I have a 4 cup measure, and I'm going to go with cold water here. The original time I followed a recipe, it said to do 4 cups of cold water. I'm not sure why it has to be cold, but I have always just stuck with what that original recipe said. Okay, 4 cups of cold water. And then I'm going to do 3 teaspoons of salt. Get a teaspoon measure. Okay, 3 teaspoons of salt. 1, 2, 3. 2 teaspoons of turmeric. Turmeric is really good for you. A lot of antioxidants. Gives it a great color. The mustard's already yellow, but this is going to be bright. 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. Now, when it comes to the garlic powder, you can use garlic paste. For a single recipe, you would use a full teaspoon of garlic paste or like just ground up garlic. But if you are canning it, you want to use, instead of 1 teaspoon of garlic paste, you want to use 1/8 teaspoon of garlic powder. And that is just a little, because of the safety of the canning thing, fresh versus dried. And then I'm going to also do a 1/2 teaspoon of paprika. And I'm going to get this going over on the stove. And I'm going to just bring it to a boil and kind of stir it and let it cook down for quite a while until it turns into a paste. Okay, I am going to just start whisking this together just so that it gets combined. And I'm cooking it on medium-low heat until it thickens and turns into a paste. And that could be anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. But you just don't want to get it too hot. You don't want it scorching in the bottom of the pan. So while this is cooking, I'll come back over and stir it occasionally. I'm going to open up my windows. You do want a well-ventilated area. You've got mustard, you've got vinegar. It's going to be fumey making this, so it's worth it. But you do want to make sure you've got some windows or some fans or something going on to help you with that. And then while this is cooking, I'm also going to get my water bath canner filled up and my jars in there so that they can start getting sterilized and ready. All right, it's just now reached a paste-like consistency, and the last little bit of it goes pretty quick. From thick to like paste, it's less than 5 minutes. This took me between 25 and 30 minutes, and I was using the lowest setting on my burner, which actually is, I feel like, not as low as some other places. So at this point, I'm going to add my 2 cups of vinegar. My kitchen window is open. I'm going to whisk it to get it all combined. And I'm just going to cook this until it has the consistency of the kind of mustard you get out of the bottle in the store, and then it's ready to can. You can put it in the refrigerator. When it's done, you can either put it in, like let it cool, and then put it in a jar in the refrigerator, or while it's hot, get it into jars and into the canner, which is what I'm going to do here today. Okay, and while this is cooking and thickening, I'm going to get, don't lean over it and breathe that vinegar in. I'm going to get some vinegar in a little dish for my jar lids. I've got my 1/2 pint jars in the canner getting hot and boily. Okay, this has thickened up pretty nicely. And I am going to start putting it in my jars. I should mention a couple things here. One, this is very pungent at this stage. If you leave it for a couple days, it mellows out into a regular mustard flavor. So if you are eating it right away, you don't want to eat it right away. Let me just say that. It's pretty strong, almost to the point of being bitter, but it will mellow out after a couple days. Also, with our jars for this, we're going to do a 1/4 inch headspace. I'll clean up my cutting board here and get my jars out. I am using 1/2 pint or 1 cup jars. You could use 1/4 pint, which are the little 4-ounce jars. We go through mustard fast enough that this size works for me. It depends, or you can make smaller ones if you want to maybe give them as gifts, that kind of thing. I'm going to leave this covered so it can stay warm. More zhuzh. Does anybody else keep their canning funnel in their dish drainer? I use it so often, like filling thermoses for lunch, filling jars with other stuff, canning, that it stays there because I use it almost every day. doing a 1/4 inch headspace and being pretty careful to not inhale over the top of this pot. If you have sensitive lungs, you really don't want to inhale over the top of the pot. Get this out. Be right there. All right, so that's exactly what I was planning on, was 4 half-pint jars. Had a 5th one ready just in case. I'm going to debubble these, but there's probably not a whole lot of bubbles in here since it's pretty much like a liquid. Okay, clean my rims here with the vinegar. Some lids. Rings. Okay, I'm going to move my canner over here. And get this jars in. All right, as soon as this comes up to a boil, I will start my timer and process these jars for 15 minutes. I'm just above 1,000 feet, so I do 15 minutes. You could do it in 10 minutes if you are 1,000 feet or below. But you don't start the timer until it's boiling. Forgot to put my extra vinegar in. That just helps my hard water.